Story is told of the rabbi who got fed up with the problem of decorum in his shul. And so he made a rule that from now on, there will be no talk in shul under any circumstances. And so the shul was very quiet. The davening was very spiritual. Everyone was saying the words. There was no talking, no chattering, no noise. Very nice. After a few weeks, the rabbi starts to notice there's a lot of sorrows in the community. People getting ill, people losing their jobs. This one's looking for a shidduch for his daughter. People looking for advice, people looking for financial help. There's a lot of stuff suddenly coming across his desk. So he calls the chairman of the shul and he says, what's going on? How come suddenly everyone has so much sorrows in this community? He says, look, Rabbi, I don't mean to offend you. He says, but you know, we used to come to shul, obviously we would daven a bit, listen to a bit of the laning, but we used to talk to each other. You know, somebody was looking for a shidduch, they'd have a chat with someone in shul. Somebody needed some legal advice, they'd go to the back and talk to one of the lawyers. Somebody needed medical help, there was always someone to talk to. Somebody needed financial help, we would arrange it. You know, all this stuff used to happen in shul. Since you banned us from talking, we can't help each other out anymore. I'm not saying we should all talk in shul. But let's be honest, for many of us, coming to shul is not just about praying with the minyan. Of course, that's important. But it's about the social, the cultural, the societal experience. It's about being together with like-minded people and sharing. And as much as we've certainly missed the minyan aspect of it, the davening aspect, particularly when our shuls were closed due to COVID, particularly for those of us that couldn't take Kaddish, I think we've missed the social side even more. We find in the parsha of Nitzovim that Moshe calls everyone to bear witness to one final restatement of the covenant with God. And he says it's lonu ulevanenu ad olam, it's for us and our children forever. And when we look in the Torah, there are dots above the word ulevanenu. Rashi says these dots teach us that for the first time it wasn't just the children, but it was everyone. We were all responsible for one another. And this is the first time we find really the concept of what's called aravut. Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh B'Zeh. We are really responsible for one another, a sense of duty to one another. It's not enough to say, I'm all right, Jack. I think I told the story before that I was staying with a friend in Yeshiva in Yerushalayim, in a neighborhood called Sanhedria, which is a very ultra-Orthodox neighborhood. There's a street there called Bar Ilan, which many years ago, some of you may remember, was a hotbed of protest because the residents wanted the street closed for Shabbat. But the problem is it's a major through road in Jerusalem. Closing it caused a lot of problems. So eventually it came up with the compromise, it'll be closed for the times of davening while people are coming and going from Shul. So I remember I was with my friend and we see this Jeep pulls up on Shabbos. A couple of policemen get out. I don't know if they were Jewish or not. They may well have been. You know, they looked Israeli. They get out and they put up barricades. They get back in the Jeep and they drive off. I said to my friend, how do people know that those policemen that are breaking, if they're Jewish, obviously they're breaking Shabbat, in order to drive here and put these barriers up? How do people know that actually they're not breaking Shabbat in order to close the road? My friend says, you don't understand. The way you're seeing it is we want people to keep Shabbat. The way that the people in the neighborhood are seeing it is we don't want people driving through our neighborhood. So we don't have to explain to our kids that there are people who are not Shomer Shabbat. As long as they'll go somewhere else, it's not my problem. NIMBY, not in my backyard. I said, aha, I see. So for me, that doesn't work. It's not good enough to say, well, as long as I'm okay, then nothing else matters. And the Torah says the same thing. We are responsible for one another. One of the things that our community has excelled at through this pandemic is social responsibility and care and chesed, kindness to one another, looking out for one another. The volunteering has increased. People calling people shopping for people making sure that people are okay, getting them help when they need it. I want to say that actually we've done more of that than we perhaps did when the shul was open full time. So as we start to open up again, and we hope we return to a sense of normality, I hope we won't lose that sense of unity, that sense of responsibility for one another, which is so special and which is actually a vital part of Jewish tradition. So at the same time that we hope that once again our shuls will be open full-time, thronged with people, thriving, with all kinds of activities, that we never forget our responsibility to one another. But if even one person is struggling or suffering, then we all have a responsibility to help that person. That is a basic Jewish concept. I wish everyone a Shana Tova. May we all merit not to need others' help in the coming year ahead, but when we do, to make sure that there are those that will help each other out and not ever, God forbid, turn away from somebody. Take care.